All right, we're going to take a look at the packet tracer lab for the wireless LAN controller. Step 1, we're going to configure the IP address settings in the wireless LAN controller. Open up the LAN controller, click Config, and we'll go to Management. Set the IP address 10.10.10.5, 255.0.0.0. Default gateway 10.10.10.1, DNS server 10.10.10.2. Configure the IP address settings in the DHCP server in server 0. Go to config, IP address of 10.10.10.3, subnet mask. We'll go to the Services tab, DHCP. We'll change all these settings and then turn the service on. For 10.10.10.1 is the default gateway. .2 is the DHCP starting IP address 10.10.10.100. Subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. 100 maximum users. LAN controller address 10.10.10.5. If we hit save, verify all of our information goes in here, and then turn the service on. Now we'll configure IP address settings in laptop 0. Go to the IP configuration, IP address 10.10.10.10, subnet mask, default gateway, DNS server. At this point, we can verify that the IP address settings are correct when we hover over. There's .5 for the LAN controller. .10.3 for the server 0. 10.10 for the laptop. The wireless access points. Sometimes they will have the correct IP address already, sometimes not. If they do not, like this one, it says 192.168. Click on it, go to config, switch to static and back to DHCP. Should connect to the gateway and DNS server. Now when we hover, we have an appropriate address. Same for this one. And access point 2. Okay, those all seem to be correct. Now we use Laptop Zero's web browser to connect to the wireless LAN controller configuration page. So we'll close this, open up the web browser, go to 10.10.10.5, the IP address of the wireless LAN controller. Hit enter or press go. Either way, it's going to take a minute. the admin password that we're going, or the admin account that we're going to create. The username is admin. Password is password 123 with a capital P. And start. That comes to the configuration page. Your page may look a little different, but it has the same boxes to fill out. Lab-WLC for the name, system name, the management IP address, 10.10.10.5, subnet mask, default gateway, and hit next. And we're going to set up the wireless network, or one of them anyway. Student. I'm going to use password 123 again, if I could type it. Next. Now we have advanced settings. We don't need to change anything here, so we'll say next. We'll confirm the settings that we've put in and press apply. It says this will reboot after the settings are applied, so click OK. It'll say saving the configuration. Usually it just sits there and does this for a while and it doesn't do anything else. Sometimes it will come back immediately. Close the browser, open up a command prompt, and we'll make sure that we can ping the wireless LAN controller. And we do get a response. Let's close this, go back to the web browser, go back to the web page for the wireless LAN controller. If you get this message, server reset connection, then that's how it should be. We now need to use HTTPS and enter there. Now the wireless LAN controller is ready to be logged into. So we hit login. Username is admin, password is password. Again, not typing correctly. 1, 2, 3. And now we see the configuration page. Verify that this address is correct, 10.10.10.5 for the management IP address. Lab-WLC is the name. If we click on the wireless tab, we should see the lightweight access points, 0, 1, and 2. Now it can happen, like in this case, that they're not in order, 0, 1, and 2. Doesn't really matter. You'll see their IP addresses there. We click on WLANs. We will see the WLAN that we already created. Going to create a new one. So this is selected on Create New. We'll say Go. I'm going to create one called Staff. The SSID is Staff. Apply. Check this box to make it enabled. Apply. There is no security set up on this one. Normally you would set up security however you wanted it. But this time we're going to leave this blank. So we'll click on the WLANs and we see the two that we have. We have student and staff. And they are both enabled. Click on AP groups. You see just the default group. We're going to create two more. Add group. AP group name is student. Description student AP. Add. Add another group. Staff. Staff AP. Add. You should see staff and student. Click the AP group student. And click on the WLANs tab. And we'll say you may have to open this window some, but you'll see a button here that says add new. So we'll say add new. WLAN SSID is student 1. Add. I should go back to the general tab. Now we'll hit WLANs and we see student there. Click on APs. Now we're under AP groups edit student. We're going to add access point 2 and access point 1. Remember, they might not be in this order on your screen. Add APs. Gives you a warning. Say OK. Again, click on the APs and it shows point 1 and point 2 are in the group student. Click on AP groups again. Now click on staff. Under the WLANs tab, there's nothing there. We'll say add new. Select the staff. We'll click add. Now we click the WLANs tab again. And we see staff. Click on APs. Shows the list of APs we have on the right side. Select access point 0. Add APs. Warning. Now when we click on APs, we see that access point 0 has been added to the group staff. The next step, we're going to add the wireless end devices to two smartphones and a tablet to the network diagram and connect them to the two WLANs. Now you'll add those devices by clicking on End Devices, and then we'll find a wireless tablet. Well, we'll find two smartphones first. So we go to Smart Device, we'll stick it up here. We'll get another smart device, stick it up here, and a wireless tablet. We'll put that right here. And we need to configure them. So let's click on smartphone 0, the config tab, SSID, I'm sorry, go under wireless 0. Under the SSID, we'll say staff. Remember, staff does not have a password. And here we don't have in the IP address. We'll go to, well, it picked one up by itself, but if it hadn't done that already, we would say static, and then say DHCP, and it would pick up an IP address. So smartphone 0 is on staff. It should be on the staff access point, and you see it went to access point 0, which, if you remember, was the one set up for staff. I believe there is a bug somewhere in this software, so sometimes it will appear that they are connecting to the wrong access point. Your professor says don't worry about that, just make sure all of your settings are correct. When you hover over the smartphone, you'll see that it's wireless 0, has an IP address that's appropriate, and then it has the gateway and DNS server. Smartphone 1 will configure wireless 0. That's going to connect to student. We're using WPA2 PS key security. The password is password 123. Toggle static, back to DHCP, and now you have a connection and a valid IP address. We'll do the same thing for tablet. For the tablet, config wireless 0, student, put in the passphrase, static, back to DHCP, try that again, static, back to DHCP. It just took a minute. If this happens to you, just be patient, check your settings again, but now we have a correct IP address. Sometimes they both may connect to the same access point. That's perfectly fine. If we hover over each of the access points, you can see where it shows that it is providing WLANs. That's additional information that wasn't there before we set it up. Student and student. If you go to submit the results, or if you go to check the results, it will tell you, or it probably will tell you, that this activity is incomplete, and there may be a couple of red X's in the results. Don't worry about that. Just check to make sure that your IP addresses are correct and your WLANs are set up correctly. And if your wireless devices connect as they should, then there's no problem.